A Two Rivers man convicted in Manitowoc County Court Branch 2 for reckless use of a weapon was sentenced to 60 days in the county jail by Judge Harold W. Mueller. Ronald Finkel, 22, was presently serving an indeterminate term of not more than 6 months in the county jail for burglary, must serve the 60-day sentence consecutive to that term Judge Mueller directed. According to the complaint of the weapons charge, Finkel accused a woman of spreading rumors about him and on December 5th said he wanted to talk it over with her in his apartment at Two Rivers. At first, the woman refused, but then went with Finkel because she was frightened, and the complaint said. There, Finkel picked up a rifle and pointed at the woman's head, threatened to kill her if he ever heard of her passing rumors again. He took the rifle away from her head, loaded one bullet, and as she was going toward the door, shot the door, and the complainant also said, what are the chances that Stephen would be facing burglary charges for rolls of quarters and spilling popcorn over at the bar over there, when rumors by Sandra Morris were being spread all over town, even at her own admission of this? And he admits pulling a gun on her and doing the same thing as Finkel right here. So already we have, what are the chances? But this story just grows more bizarre as it goes. So welcome to your Blackout podcast. And we're about to dig in pretty strongly into the Finkel case and why in the world have we not talked about this sooner? Believe it or not, another victim, a female, was found dead through homicide in the Radandt quarry. You got it. And I'm not talking about the Hallbach. I'm not talking about Carmen Boutwell. I'm discussing Carmen Boutwell's aunt, Deborah Suckowaty. Now, we're going to dig in how this Finkel plays forward in all of this. And I believe it's Finkel. So forgive me if I do say it wrong throughout the case. It's a hard name for me. According to the Manitowoc Herald Times, they reported October 10th, 1977. It was at 11:43 a.m. October 2nd that Steve Campion, Route 2, Two Rivers, telephoned the county sheriff traffic department and informed the traffic officer on duty of the discovery of the body. The next report I'm using is Manitowoc Herald Times, October 1977, October 4th. Suckowaty woman was murdered victim. It says, the murdered woman, whose body was found by hunters in the town of Kesseth about noon Sunday, has been identified as Deborah Diane Suckowaty, 18-year-old Manitowoc waitress, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Leroy Suckowaty, Route 1, Valders. The victim was identified by District Attorney Dennis R. Vogel at a press conference in Vogel's office called Monday afternoon by the District Attorney and County Coroner James E. Powers. Let's stop right there, you guys. The name District Attorney Dennis R. Vogel sounds very familiar because he is the one of the two that were being sued by Stephen Avery. Dennis R. Vogel is the district attorney named in the lawsuit, the $36 million lawsuit by Stephen, as well as Tom Kasurik. So, very interesting that this all starts to tie together with the same names. Goes on to say, the death is definitely being treated as a homicide, but no one is in custody and there are no suspects at this time, the district attorney said. He also said there is no motive known at this time. Miss Suckowaty disappeared after working September 23rd, and she subsequently was reported missing. The time of death is not known exactly, but was sometime in the area of a week ago, Vogel said. The body was found face down in a swampy area in the vicinity of a gravel pit east of Francis Creek. The victim was clothed in a waitress uniform and a sweater. The area where the body was found is approximately 5 miles north of Manitowoc and north of the intersection of County Trunks V and VV. Ms. Suckowaty was described as red-haired, 5 feet and 3 inches tall. Jumping ahead, let's see, what day is this one? October 7th, 1977. I'm reading from the Green Bay Press Gazette, and it says, murder clues checked. Police are investigating one or one or two suspects in the Deborah Suckowaty murder case here, according to District Attorney Dennis Vogel. Vogel announced several leads in the case Thursday. The body of Suckowaty woman, 18, Route 1 Falders, was found in a swampy area north of Manitowoc by hunters about noon Sunday. Goes on to talk about multiple blows to the head and that the time of death was sometime last week. And then Vogel says, 6-man investigative team from 3 police departments has worked around the clock since Sunday in the investigation. 2 areas have been searched intensely in addition to the site where the body was found. The East Twin Rivers and Two Rivers has been, quote, searched intensively by the Coast Guard and several volunteer divers under the direction of Donald Bells of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department, Vogel said. The East Twin River search began when a bag of items was found floating there, but Vogel said he couldn't discuss the contents. Okay? Let's jump over and go to the date of December 31st, 1977, where now we have an arrest taking place. And it says the number 2 story was the slaying of Miss Deborah Suckowaty. This is in the Manitowoc Herald Times. It says, the number 2 story was the slaying of Miss Deborah Suckowaty, 18-year-old waitress, whose body was found October 2nd in an abandoned gravel pit north of Manitowoc. A lengthy investigation resulted in the arrest of Ronald D. Finkel, 24, Two Rivers on first-degree murder charge. Okay? This is where he comes into play. So now, November 17th, 1977, Ronald D. Finkel, 24, Two Rivers, charged with first-degree murder in the slaying of the young Manitowoc waitress, has been bound over Manitowoc County Circuit Court for trial. Washington County Judge Robert Stoltz ordered the bind over following a lengthy preliminary hearing, which concluded shortly after 10 a.m. today. Finkel is charged with connection with the beating death of Deborah Suckowaty, 18, whose body was found October 2nd in an abandoned gravel pit about 5 miles north of the city. Following the hearing, Judge Stoltz made the ruling, quote, I do find that it is probable Deborah Suckowaty met her death on or about September 24th in Manitowoc as a result of multiple blows to her skull administered by another person with considerable force and with intent to kill. I do further find that it is probable that the defendant, Ronald Finkel, is guilty as charged, and the defendant is bound over to Circuit Court for trial. Stoltz increased Finkel's bail from $25,000 to $50,000 and ordered him to appear at 9:10 a.m. December 2nd for arraignment before Circuit Judge Alan J. Deere. Crazy. They're basically already treating Finkel as guilty in the media. I wonder, did somebody write the playwright and then they just relived it with Stephen? Because they did the same thing to him in the media. Let's jump over to June 8, 1978. It says, Finkel, 24, Two Rivers, is accused of killing Deborah Suckowaty, 18, whose body was found in an abandoned gravel pit October 2nd, 1977. The first-degree murder trial continued today in Manitowoc County Circuit Court and is expected to conclude sometime Friday. Detective Bernard Geigel said Finkel told him that he found the woman's personal effects in his car, which was parked near the Hotel Howard in downtown Manitowoc between 5 a.m. and 2 p.m. September 24th. Ms. Suckowaty disappeared from her nearby apartment on that date. Finkel claimed someone broke into his car and left the items there to implicate him in the murder, according to the testimony. The detective said Finkel put the items in a large plastic bag and tossed it into the East Twin River in the city of Two Rivers. He said he had been in trouble with the police before, and that's why he threw the bag into the river. Geigel quoted the defendant as saying, the bag was fished out of the water September 26th by a young messman boy who testified he was fishing in the vicinity of 21st and Rogers Street at the time. The bag later was turned over to Two Rivers police, who found among Ms. Suckowaty's belongings a Manitowoc parking ticket issued to Finkel's car. Among the items in the plastic bag were identification cards issued to Ms. Suckowaty a pair of white shoes, and a large leather purse with a yellow billfold and an apron and other parts of the Big Boy restaurant uniform. District Attorney Dennis Vogel spent more than 30 minutes itemizing contents of the bag with Geigel's assistance. Goes on to say the detective said Finkel told him he did not know the Suckowaty girl and had never seen her previously. However, the defendant's statement was contradicted by two young women whose testimony concluded Wednesday's lengthy proceedings. Jane Landett, 19, of Two Rivers, said Finkel told her that he thought he met her, Miss Suckowaty, at a party or knew her by face. Miss Landett described herself as a close friend of Finkel and Wendy Pater, his girlfriend. Miss Landett quoted Finkel as saying he found Mrs. Suckowaty's belongings in his car the day after she was murdered, when he and Wendy were cleaning it out. He thought he was being framed, and that they put the body there, the gravel pit, because he knew the area. Miss Landett related she added that Finkel's brother Jeff formerly lived in the vicinity of the murder scene. Her remarks were contained in a written statement she gave to Two Rivers Police March 16th. In early testimony Wednesday, Dr. John Fodden, local pathologist, said Miss Suckowaty's death was the result of massive multiple fractures of the skull with brain or cranial injury. Oh my God, hold on a minute. What if, you guys, the piece of bone fragment in this case that they're using, remember, there's no gender attached to that. Not that it matters, but there's no gender to that bone fragment. It's never tested. The cranial fracture is not assigned to anyone. No mitochondrial DNA was done on that bone fragment of the skull. What if it's actually Deb Suckowaty's? Or what if they're finding parts of her bones in that pit and they're trying to play it off as Teresa Halbach? I'm just saying. Whoa, that's just crazy. Her remarks were contained in a written statement. All right. Fodden said, oh, hold on. Gretchen needs attention. So Gretchen wanted a snack. All right, let's get back into this. Fodden went on to say her body apparently was in a prone or supine position with the head inclined forward. When the fatal blows were delivered with a hard wooden or metallic object, death was instantaneously. He added, holy crap. That is the exact way that Halbach's murder was supposedly did. Is it possible, you guys, that they took the actual murder of Deb Suckowaty, the evidence, and placed it on Stephen Avery to frame him? I'm just asking. Fodden estimated that the victim had been dead for 8 days at the time he performed the autopsy, October 3rd. Further examination revealed she had eaten cereal-type food about an hour before her death. Jumping over to Saturday 10th, 1978, Manitowoc, Two Rivers story here on the Manitowoc Herald-Times. It says, Ronald Finkel, 24, Two Rivers, faces life sentence as a result of his conviction late Friday afternoon on a first-degree murder charge in the fatal beating of the 18-year-old Manitowoc waitress. A circuit court jury of 9 men and 3 women deliberated about 5 hours before returning the guilty verdict. Finkel was remanded to county jail by Judge Charles L. Larson to await sentencing. A hearing on motions after verdict was set for 3 p.m. Friday, July 7th. Jumping ahead, it says the verdict climaxed a week-long trial in which the state successfully used circumstantial evidence to gain a conviction. The chain of evidence was pieced together by District Attorney Dennis Vogel, Special Prosecutor Patrick J. Harlow, and area law enforcement officers who spent many hours on the investigation. The state charged that Finkel picked up Miss Deborah Suckowaty in his car early on the morning of September 24th in the vicinity of the Howard Hotel and later took her to the abandoned gravel pit north of the city where she was beaten to death with a large wooden or metallic object about 7/8 of an inch in diameter. Her disappearance remained a mystery until October 2nd, when a hunter found her body hidden in the high swamp grass. Vogel claimed Finkel had lied and made inconsistent statements to police concerning the victim and how he came into possession of her personal effects, which were found in a plastic bag in the East Twin River of the city of Two Rivers. Good gravy. Finkel did not testify during the trial. He claimed in statements to the police that he did not know the Suckowaty girl and had never seen her before. The defendant told police the victim's belongings were placed in his car while he was asleep in the Hotel Howard by someone who wanted to, quote, frame him. He put the items in a plastic bag along with other debris from his car and tossed it in the water because he had been in trouble with the police previously, according to the testimony. In his close summonation Friday, Vogel pieced together an account of how Finkel and Miss Suckowaty apparently crossed paths early on the morning of September 24th. Miss Suckowaty received a wake-up call from the local cab company at 4:30 a.m. and was scheduled to report for work at 5:30 a.m. at the Big Boy restaurant, according to Vogel. Finkel had been out that night with a friend, Ronald Dent, also named Ronald, 26 Two Rivers, and allegedly arrived at the Hotel Howard at about 5 a.m. Vogel notes, Dent and Finkel were out looking for women that night, and they had been unsuccessful. Authorities concluded Miss Suckowaty was killed in the gravel pit in the vicinity of County Highways Q and VV. It was incorrectly reported that Coroner James Powers said she apparently was killed elsewhere. Heavy rains during the period may have accounted for the absence of blood in and around the body, police said. Stop right there. Yeah, heavy rains again? So we have the RAV, all the questions because of rain, and now we have it rain around Deb Suckowaty. Good Lord. Finkel shows no apparent emotion when the verdict was read, but kept his hands clenched together. With him at the time and through the trial proceedings where his mother, Miss June Finkel, and his brother Jeff. I think it was a fair verdict, and I'm happy to get a conviction, Vogel said later. I think justice has been done. Wick's reaction was one of disappointment. I don't think it was a solid case. I think there were a lot of questions that remain unanswered, Wick said. I'm not sure he did it, but I believe in the system, or I wouldn't be in this profession. What are the chances, you guys? I mean, the coincidences, I can't even stop to point them out to you guys. I'm letting you do that, or we would be here all day. All right, we're jumping ahead to 1979, September 7th. Finkel seeks new trial in 1978 murder charge. It says Finkel, 25, also filed a motion for formally reconstruct the record. Now let's stop right there. What does he mean, reconstruct the record? Oh yeah, part of his record is lost. Just oops. They give it to the judge, and the judge loses part of Finkel's records, right? And they have to reconstruct it. The motion for the new trial and to reconstruct the record were made by Finkel's attorney, Ruth Downs, as assistant state public defender. The motion for the new trial was made on the grounds that Finkel's right to a free trial and his right to effective counsel were violated. Sound familiar? Right to effective counsel? Steve and Avery were fighting it right now in post-conviction. That the trial court erred in admitting over defense objects certain evidence, and that the trial court erred in giving certain instructions to the jury. Same story in the Avery case. What are the chances? At one point in the motion for the new trial, it is alleged attorney Stephen R. Alpert's advice and actions were not based on Finkel's best interest, but upon conflict of interest. I can't even read this. I'm going to start over. At one point in the motion for a new trial, it is alleged attorney Stephen R. Alpert's advice and actions were not based on Finkel's best interests, but upon conflicts of interest and disloyalty to Finkel. Does that sound familiar? Think of Dindon Brassey and his lawyer, Lynn Kaczynski, disloyal, not on the best interest of his client. Finkel was found guilty of first-degree murder by a jury June 9, 1978, and was sentenced to life imprisonment June 14th by Osakie County Judges Charles L. Larson. He was found guilty of murdering Deborah Suckowaty. Wow. And if you were wondering how they got around that whole lost file, I am reading off of the Manitowoc Herald Times from December 14, 1979. There was some misunderstanding as to how the records were lost. Joan Hoffman, clerk of circuit court, said the records were given to Judge Charles Larson of Port Washington, who presided at the Finkel trial, and that Larson failed to return them. Larson is semi-retired and living in Arizona at the present time. Wonder if he's around Link anywhere. The parties involved agreed that, to their knowledge, all the significant missing records had been reconstructed and returned to the Finkel case file. Copies of records were provided by defense attorney William C. Wick and the office of District Attorney Dennis Vogel. Great! I trust Vogel. How about you? Now, I have to say it. What are the chances? Finkel sues, right? So we have a lawsuit even. Finkel maintained, March 2nd, 1989. Okay, so we're a decade later. Finkel maintained that he threw the items in the river because he had been in trouble before and wanted no further contact with the police, the detective testified. In his civil suit, Finkel claims that September 24, 1977, Hilton confronted Suckowaty at a downtown Manitowoc street corner about her contentions that Hilton had sexually assaulted her at an earlier date. Hilton took Suckowaty away from his car and placed her purse in Finkel's auto. Finkel said in the lawsuit, sometime between September 24th and September 26th, Hilton beat the woman to death. Finkel claims in the lawsuit, Finkel is asking for another trial plus $1.5 million compensatory damages and $500 in punitive damages. He also is seeking a public apology. Sound familiar, you guys? I can't even begin to sum up all the coincidences. The fact that the two women are said to have been murdered the same way with a skull fracture and everything. I mean, the damage to the skull would have been about the same. If you look at the blood spatter in the back of the RAV cargo area, where the victim is being struck repeatedly at the base of the skull. Why? This is just crazy. Is it possible what they are finding? I mean, yeah, you can go on and on about the mitochondrial DNA that didn't really rule Teresa out. So it doesn't hold any water because it didn't rule out anybody else either. What if that is simply Deb Suckowaty's original bones? I want to know who got them. Where are her ashes? It's drawing questions, you guys. And did they not collect all the bones? Is it possible that they were actually finding leftover bones from that decade before? And they were just playing them against Stephen Avery and planting them in his... Oh, Lord. I'm just saying. Where did Deb Suckowaty's remains go? Was she cremated? I have so many questions after this. All right, you guys, I want to thank you so much for being here with me, sharing your love with me, whether you liked it, you subscribed, you hit the down button, whatever you did. It helps the algorithm. It gets our channel out there. Do me a favor. Keep spreading the awareness about Summer Wells, missing from Tennessee. 5-year-old, blonde hair, blue eyes little girl, missing since June 15th. And also Michael Vaughn, who has been missing since July 27th. And that is from Fruitland, Idaho. He is also 5, blonde hair, blue eyes. So let's keep up on finding these kids. Some have recently been found. So maybe, just maybe, we'll get some good news on these 2 kids, okay? I love you to the moon and back. Always will. And I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much. Talk to you again soon later.